Welcome to episode 100.
There it is. It's a big celebration.
Boxing during dinner.
Woohoo!
It's not that big a celebration.
You can tell by the amount of celebration.
But you know what? The people that we care about are here, right?
They didn't even make any noise.
they didn't make any noise.
Oh, in the year and a half we've done this, we've acquired 6 fans total. So,
Six fans
it's
and
a really big moment for us.
and a couple fighters that are fans and friends too. But we'll introduce them a little later. But welcome to Boxing During Dinner episode 100. David, we made it to 100 episodes.
Yeah.
And like somebody said on Facebook, the production quality has gone up.
It sure has.
Since the first episode that Alex just set his brand new camera on my dining room table. Just set it down. We had our sponsor was Coke.
Coke, yeah, we said.
Even though we made nothing from it, and we ate one like a burger that I made or something.
It was leftovers from your fridge, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember we had the Coke
It was
can.
Lunchables.
Lunchables.
No, it wasn't Lunchables.
I don't remember. But we did have the Coca-Cola cans facing
we
forward,
did have Coke
so that
cans.
Coke would hopefully pick us up and sponsor us. It's with great regret that we tell you that hasn't happened yet. But
Well, we're here at somebody who does love and care for us. Randazzo'S Little Italy. The great Mark Randazzo. He can't be here today because he had some mouth surgery, some teeth, or
we'll tell you all
but
of his personal business.
Quick recovery for Mark, and he'll be in our next episode. He said he's gonna make his Sicilian vaca frita for us.
Oh, it's been a long time since we've had that.
It's been a
It's
really
gonna be a
long
funny
time.
story.
It's a really funny story, but episode 100, David, we get to talk about my favorite fighter. And you know what? I'm not supposed to be biased, but my favorite fighter, aside from Jessy, Cruz, and Ahmed Elbiali, of course, is Gennady Golovkin, who just fought Matthew Macklin, and you know it was like a brand new discovery for everybody. You know, Sports Center discovered him that night, CNN discovered him that night, Fox News discovered him that night. He was on every single network. I swear. I mean, it wasn't even just sports.
Yeah.
He was on every single network, and it was like if Gennady Golovkin got discovered that day. Gennady Golovkin was a great amateur. He's been a great pro, and he's probably one of the best fighters in the planet today. And to me, he's the best middleweight, and I don't even think it's close.
Well, the second that Armando mentions that there's a fighter who's doing really well or thinks very highly of, that fighter immediately starts to perform poorly and will probably get knocked out. Gennady Golovkin's on the way down from here.
I did screw up Amir Khan's career, and
Yep.
I'll take responsibility for that. But Gennady Golovkin's another story.
I do happen to agree in this instance that he is the best middleweight in the world. I don't think Sergio Martinez would be able to hold a candle to him right now, at least not with the performance he had against Martin Murray. Ironically, the rumor is that Gennady Golovkin's next fight in November is going to be against Martin Murray, which I think is interesting that he continues to get matched up against guys that Sergio Martinez beat. And, you know, Matthew Macklin being the most recent example, Martinez fought tooth and nail to beat Matthew Macklin, and Gennady Golovkin looked like, Macklin was sparring against him.
Right,
just
and
whitewashed.
Murray, for all intents and purposes, you know, a lot of people think he did beat Sergio Martinez.
A lot of people do. And
In his own backyard.
granted, yeah, exactly. I mean, I personally had Martin Murray winning that fight by a round, maybe 2 rounds. It was a close fight. Martin Murray, not the biggest puncher in the world either, but Gennady Golovkin is, and Sergio Martinez wasn't on his game that night. I don't see any other outcome in this fight besides a brutal knockout, and really anybody outside of maybe Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. I don't think Gennady Golovkin wins those fights without knocking them out.
I think that the toughest fight for him at 160 would probably be Peter Quillen, Kid Chocolate, because he's young, he throws a lot of punches, he's not afraid to get into a scrap, and you never know, he might land a good punch. But everybody else, like you said, Sergio Martinez, a great fighter in his own right, but he's getting older, the injuries, he didn't look good against Murray, almost got knocked out by Chavez late in that fight. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. does not punch like Gennady Golovkin. Who do you think Golovkin punches like? Costa Zoo? Is he the middleweight Mike Tyson? Ivan Drago?
Well, yeah, I think it's got to be Ivan Drago without question. Rocky IV, is the Russian
Golovkin
destroyer.
would have probably killed Apollo Creed too.
He probably would have.
You know that machine that the commie Andrew that had?
Sure.
That he hit?
Yeah,
he punched at 1,850 pounds. What do you think Golovkin's punching power is?
It's got to be at least 2,000.
At the very least.
It's really a sight to behold, and the fact that basically out of nowhere we've got this guy, not out of nowhere, but to the common folk fans who are starting to catch on to him. This is a guy fighting out of Kazakhstan, a country that's best known for having Borat. And now here he is, the biggest puncher in 160 pounds, and probably all of boxing. It's it's an interesting sight. I think fight fans in general should just be happy that they get to experience this because it doesn't come along often. It's been a while since there's been a puncher like this, and it was probably Tyson before that. Maybe Costa too, but.
So Golovkin, I mean, the possibilities are endless of fighters he could fight. 160, 154, and he's willing to move up and down.
He wants to fight Andre Ward. What's not to like about this guy?
He's awesome, and what did he call Andre Ward after the fight? He calls him
I don't know. Who cares?
He's a nice boy or something.
Yeah, he called him a nice boy. I mean, he probably doesn't speak English well, but I just love hearing him talk because his English is still pretty poor.
I love it. It's horrible English, and he means well, but it just sounds funny.
He came across so confident too. Max Kellerman asking him, if it was hard to fight against Matthew Macklin.
No.
He goes, no, it was not difficult. It was not difficult.
No, that's Manny Pacquiao.
Manny Pacquiao. It was funny.
Through our 100 episode, we made lots of enemies in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Oh. In the Philippines and in Miami.
And in the Cuban community, you've made quite a few
communities. Even though I love Cubans like Jessy Cruz and other Cubans here in Miami.
Jessy and others, like it's just him and then the rest of them.
Right, exactly. Who's that Rigondeaux guy? But we want to bring in Jessy Cruz and Ahmed Elbiali, who are two great fighters and friends of Boxing During Dinner, and have been on the show before. And first of all, I want to thank them for being on Boxing During Dinner. Jesse's been twice here. He's been at Energy Kitchen. Ahmed, sometimes when he doesn't come out in the episode, he just comes and visits. Yeah. And they're going to be fighting August 10th at the Miami Highlight. For those of you in Miami, you got to go to this card. They're not fighting each other like an earlier erroneous press release sent by a certain Armando Alvarez said, and I swear it had nothing to do with the verses. But they're going to be fighting on the same card. Ahmed at 175, Jessy at 118. Isaiah Agustamo is also on that card. I want to, ask you guys, how do you feel fighting in front of your hometown fans, Jessy? Because you said it's been a couple of years since you fought.
About 2.5 years.
Here in Miami, and you're actually going to be fighting in Miami, not Hialeah, not the Hard Rock, which is North Miami. This is Miami.
I'm excited. I've been training. I helped Carlos Payano. You were there for the sparring. So I've been training. I got a good team. I got a Chef Kitchen, Hector, and his family. I want to thank them for helping me out with my diet food. I'm close to the weight already. We're about a month away, 5 weeks away from the fight. Lauren at Acupuncture Massage College, that I get a massage every week. Elite U, Josh and Nick Soto. Herman Casado that puts everything together. He's the mastermind of everything. Nelson Rodriguez, and we got Claudio Lamonte. We got a bunch of coaches, a big team set up behind me, so we should perform good. I'm happy.
And I saw you training with Herman Caicedo. You were sparring with Payano. That gym, there's no shortage of great fighters. You get to spar with some of the best fighters in the world. In South Florida, but the world. How's the experience, with Payano and Vicente and all these guys that you sparred?
I've learned so much with these guys in the past 2 years that I wish I would have had it early from the beginning. And for this fight, I got Luis Franco that I'm sparring. He needs a help.
Who's no longer retired.
Yeah, that was weird. He's fighting Javier Fortuna, so he needed a lefty. So we're gonna help each other out. I'm fighting a righty. I don't know too much about my guy, but with the talent that I got in the gym, I'm not even worried about it. I'm just gonna walk in and perform.
And Ahmed Elbiali will be on the same card. And Ahmed, for you, this will be the first time you're fighting in Miami. Your pro debut was in Palm Bay, Florida. It's a completely different experience.
Yeah, it's my second fight, so it's gonna be good. It's time to show Miami what I have. My friends, my family, and then hopefully my 30th fight will be in Egypt. And I'll start from there.
and Ahmed celebrating today. Big reason to celebrate in Egypt. The people in Egypt went to the streets. It was great. They overthrew
the president's
Morsi.
overthrown, so it's great. It's great. It's a good day.
So they'll be fighting August 10th, like I mentioned. And you guys like boxing as well as being fighters. What do you guys think individually of Gennady Golovkin?
I think he's great for the sport. Guys, speed, power, great boxer. He's the real deal.
Triple G is the man. He's a monster. I don't want to spar with Triple G. No, I don't want to spar with Triple G.
And Ahmed fights at between 168 175. He wants no part of Triple G, at least not for now. Maybe in about 20 fights. But David, getting back to power punchers in the sport, Lucas Matisse seems to be scaring the crap out of everybody, including Danny Garcia, who's been making some comments on Twitter that you know, I hate the comment or the, I guess the, what do you call it, the acronym or whatever, SMH?
Oh, shaking my head.
Shaking my head. Because I think there's people that abuse those letters, and if you shake your head the entire day, you're going to need a chiropractor or a masseuse therapist or something.
It's a terrible joke.
It's horrible. It's horrible. No, but you know what? Some people, it bothers me a little bit, but for this, I will shake my head.
Yeah.
Like this.
Nah.
Danny Garcia making these comments about Lucas Matisse, like, dude, this guy's gonna knock you out.
We were told initially that September 14th was a date just for Mayweather Canelo. We weren't going to see Matisse versus Garcia on that card.
And now we might.
Now we might, which I think is
great.
an amazing co-feature to that main event. I just hope it actually comes off. I hope that the powers that be actually get out of their own way. Namely, I think Danny Garcia is the one who's in the way of this at this point. Great kid, great fighter, made a lot out of his talent. But I think he's stepping up in class when he fights Lucas Matisse.
Maybe he'll step into the ring and beat Lucas Matisse. You never know what's going to happen inside a boxing ring. But at least, if you think you're one of the best fighters in your division, you got to make the intention of fighting the best in your division. You can't say that Lucas Matisse is not at your level. I mean, he totally is at your level.
He's been the mandatory challenger to that title for a little while, too. It's interesting to me because he's fought guys like Zab Judah, fought guys like Amir Khan when Amir Khan was still Amir Khan. It's interesting to me, but I think Garcia is a tough guy. He's proven that he's a tough guy. He's not the most skilled fighter in the world, but like I said, he squeezes everything out of his talent. I don't see a reason for him to think he's not able to defend his title against a challenger.
Now, how quick would this fight have been made if Matisse's last fight wouldn't have been against Lamont Peterson? It was a Devin Alexander fight.
Ooh,
It would have been made in seconds.
Yeah,
Danny Garcia would have totally taken the fight. But the fact that he's scaring the crap out of everybody with his knockouts of Mike Dallas and Lamont Peterson.
Mike Dallas still sounds like a porn star name to me, but
Poor dude. I mean, he might have to go into that business after the fight with Matisse.
oh man, if he's still woken up.
It was pretty awful. But David, 100 episodes. I mean, a couple of people were asking us what.
Yeah, Chris Leonard, a fan of ours, so thank you, Chris, for posting this. He had the question, and you can lead with it, which is what's our favorite fighter of all time? Maybe that's Gennady Golovkin for you now.
No,
no,
absolutely not.
Oh, okay, well we'll start there. Go ahead. Favorite fighter
My favorite
of all time.
fighter of all time, by far, Pernell Whitaker.
Yeah.
Pernell Whitaker. I grew up watching Pernell Whitaker when I was 4 years old. He was in the Olympics.
When he was 4 years old, this is back in the 60s.
Yeah, in 1984, when he won the gold medal with that fabulous 1984 team, and those are my first memories as a boxing fan. Of watching boxing with my dad. Pernell Whitaker, great pro. I thought beat Chavez easily, and got robbed. He made a Zuma Nelson. He made many others, not just a Zuma Nelson and Chavez. He made everybody look ordinary until he got older in his career. I still think to this day he beat Oscar De La Hoya when they fought.
Yeah.
A close decision, but I think he still beat him.
He was Mayweather before he was Mayweather.
That's my favorite fighter. How about you?
I'm not going to go with Miguel Cotto here. I'm going to go with something that's still not going to be a purist dream either. But the reason that I got into the sport the way that I did was because of Roy Jones Jr.
That's a good pick.
In the late 90s. I mean,
he's my second.
His style and his athleticism, I think, he was not a pure boxer by any stretch, but he could have competed in any generation with the athleticism and skills that he had at the time that he did. And I think anybody who watched Roy Jones in his prime, even when he was fighting guys like David Telesco, had to marvel at his talent. The Glenn Kelly knockout with both hands behind the back is one of the best knockouts of all time. I don't care who you ask.
But was that because David Telesco, he really asked for his?
Yeah.
So he beat him with a fractured fist?
Yeah, it was a fractured wrist. Y'all must have forgot.
The fractured fist was against Bernard Hopkins, right?
Yeah, right was hurt, beat him with the left. I must have forgot. Yeah.
In the ring I boxed.
Okay, well, the next question we got, we're getting the signal to wrap up.
Quickly back to Roy.
Yeah.
And you said something interesting that he could have competed in any era. My dad, who actually happy birthday to my dad, who turned 88 last week or a couple weeks ago. My dad, he watched boxing since I think since they invented boxing at being 88. He saw most of the greats, and in Cuba he saw Kid Gavilan and a whole bunch of other great fighters, and he thought Roy Jones was probably the best he had ever seen. When Roy was dominating fighters, he thought he could have competed with Bob Foster and Archie Moore and the great light heavyweights of any era.
I mean, we didn't have the luxury of seeing those guys fight. We only had the luxury of seeing Roy fight in his prime. But
you know, and for an older man to say that, you know, when you as you become older, everything new sucks. Like to me, new hip hop sucks.
especially for Cuban guys, like, oh, but in Cuba,
Right.
60 years ago, everything was much better.
And for my dad to say Roy Jones is the best he had ever seen.
Yeah, that's saying something. The last question we had, and I know we're getting the signal to get out of here. Favorite moment of your boxing during dinner experience in the first year?
Alex doing this to us to wrap
Every
up
week
the
to get us
show.
and he's nodding for yeah.
I'd say my favorite moment, and I already know yours because it was a pretty. I mean, if I could pick yours, I know which one it is because it's
Yeah.
a pretty damn special one. Especially when it would happen like a month later, 2 months later. But I don't know. I mean, I think the first time we had a world champion on the show, like live was Randall Bailey in Alex's apartment.
Yeah.
And, and I've known Randall for years, and I consider him a friend. But I thought that was pretty cool for Randall Bailey, who had won a couple of titles at that point. He hadn't beaten Mike Jones yet. I don't think when.
But we had him after that too.
And we had him after that. But the fact he drove from Broward somewhere to a small apartment in Kendall, Florida,
To do our
be
little
on,
show.
to do our little show was pretty cool.
Yeah, and the highlight for me, the one Armando was referring to, was July of last year, maybe a little bit before that, when I had a chance to interview Joe Frazier.
That was 2 years ago. Yeah,
Was
2
it?
years ago.
It could be. I mean, the time really has flown, but I got to interview Joe Frazier in person, got an autographed glove from him, personalized for all three of the Boxing
Yes.
During Dinner crew. And as fate would have it, Joe passed away just a month or so after my interview with him. I may have actually had one of the final interviews with Joe Frazier, at least that was recorded, before he passed away. And to say that you shook hands with and interviewed the guy who beat Muhammad Ali for the first time, pretty incredible.
And we've had a lot of cool moments, and hopefully for the next 100 episodes, we have a lot, cooler moments.
And Armando's made it through without dying from a seafood allergy, so so
least
far
not
so
yet.
good, right?
I may not eat tonight just in case you jinx me, but I do want to get Gennady Golovkin here, and that's going to be my goal for the next 100 episodes.
Get to it. You got 100 episodes to go. We'll see you next week.